All right, everyone, it's time to call out basically the entire left wing with relatively few exceptions. Ironically enough, Sean King being one of the exceptions in this clown world topsy-turvy hell that we currently live in, actually thinking, well, you know, maybe it's a little bit dystopian that the billionaires just censored the president of the United States. It could be a little bit of a problem down the road giving, you know, massive billionaires that kind of oligarchic, autocratic power, but the most leftists are celebrating. Lick the boots clean, dude. It's funny because you know why they're doing it. It's because they don't want to be censored. They don't want to be banned on mainline tech. So they'll sit there and rally around sweating nervously and hoping the billionaires don't notice their older, edgier content. I bet they're purging it as we speak. So it's interesting when the so-called skeptics, which have all sold out anyway, they're like the breadliners and stuff like that, they don't seem to realize, or they don't care, that when they're cheering on Trump or his fans being banned on social media, at this point they are effectively saying, that this is the claim, that the billionaires that they normally ramble about and say are evil and wrong and despicable and greedy should be able to not just indirectly but directly coordinate in the political system to the exclusion of any form of independent commentary or power structure. They're essentially promoting fascism. Essentially, what we're seeing, when people say, well, fascism is a right-wing authoritarian ideology, well, you can't argue really this is an authoritarian. I would argue with the concept that fascism, because of the centrality, is a left-wing system. But if you're talking about a right-wing system in name as corporatism, the fusion of corporate and political power, what else are you seeing right now? It's explicit. The curtain's been pulled back. Some of these people refuse to take their blinders off. You are literally promoting fascism a la something more akin, arguably, to the Nazi Party than anything even being suggested by the alt-right ethno-nats. You've become what you worst feared. You've become the bootlickers. You constantly talk about police brutality, police shot people. Well, when they shoot someone in the Capitol, all of a sudden, you applaud. You have no problem with it. Neither do the neoliberals, by the way. They'll take a knee if people burn Wendy's, but if someone smears poo in the Capitol, it's a big problem. These are the same left. They say, smash the system, we want revolution. Fuck the government, bring out the guillotines. They're constantly saying things like this, but then when a group of people actually enters the Capitol building, has the balls to do that, although I disavow it because it is a riot, then all of a sudden, oh my God, it's a sacred space. Think of the decorum. Oh my God, it's the U.S. Capitol. There's Nazis in it. Well, no, you're the one that's cheering on the Nazis are people like fucking Tim Cook. Those are the Nazis in society, if you want to use that loose pejorative term in the extremely fraught sense that it's used today by the left. Of course, they think that if you have a U.S. flag, it's the same as a Confederate flag. Sometimes they even make comments to that effect. They're being very honest when they make such nutty claims. But they're not being honest at the moment. They come in two classes at the moment. Well, there's three kinds of leftists today. There are those that are afraid of being banned, the political wonks, basically. They're pretending, at least, to support this shit. They're grifting. They're doing it to protect themselves. There are those that are goddamn crazy, who truly are blind. They really don't realize what's currently happening effectively is a coup by the 1% of the 1% of the 1% against literally everybody else in the world. That globalism is essentially an I wash your hands, you wash mine situation in which multi-billionaires and political elites around the world have basically gotten together into one de facto power structure. They don't realize that it is the exact definition of a fascist system, and so, like something worse than Mussolini could have dreamed of, because it's not even like a national movement or just a restoration of a Roman Empire. It's a worldwide thing. It's essentially, it's kind of World War III mentality when you think of it. It's explicit fascism. When corporations are normally constrained by the law. Politicians are normally constrained by the Constitution. In most states now you have some sort of framework that limits government power. In most of the world, not in autocratic systems. That's why they get bombed. But if you have a situation where the government uses corporations to get around the Constitution and do things itself it cannot do, and corporations buy into the government in order to shape the laws favorably for themselves, you've destroyed capitalism because you no longer have a true competitive structure. When Apple and Google and Amazon decide to dogpile Parler, That is explicitly illegal already under U.S. law. But the law currently is being ignored because the politicians who are tasked with making and enforcing laws just don't care. They don't enforce it. Sort of like they don't enforce drug laws in certain states. Of course, I support that because those are already illegal to begin with. You have essentially a corporate fascist coup going on. And the third group of leftists, which is frightfully small, are leftists that actually are principled in nature and are questioning what's going on. Well, I hate Trump, but maybe I hate the billionaires taking over the whole world more. Maybe 6 people should not control 99% of human communications. You realize the number of people who control basically 90% of the world's economy, there's like 100 people in that club, and you ain't part of it and never will be. This is what we have to struggle against. We have to struggle in favor of liberty. And I find it so funny that the same corporations that explicitly condoned and endorsed the rioting that went on in the wake of Fentanyl Floyd dying in the street, those same groups think that Trump is inciting an insurrection by simply using the term fight, as though its common parlance has to do something with physical violence in every case, and it can't possibly be used for struggle in a general sense, in the ideological fashion. That's how he meant it. It's quite clear from the context. There's a reason that video got largely scrubbed from the internet. They don't want the proles. They don't want the little people, the peasants, seeing the truth. The truth is that multi-billionaires are currently attempting to usurp the political process of most of the world. This is being cheered for by supposedly rational individuals, a large number of them. Why? Because for 4 years they've been told that Trump is the fascist. But he's not. You're living in a delusion. You are living in a topsy-turvy 180 of reality fed to you by a bunch of, oddly enough, the same billionaires currently trying to take over the world. That's basically what it boils down to. So everyone's being demoted and abused and suppressed. They are normal people. They're not Nazis. They're not extreme. They're not fanatics. They're not plotting insurrection. What we saw at the Capitol was a riot, but it was not an attempted coup. Now, this is the attempted coup. The attempted coup is that a handful of billionaires have gotten together and silenced the sitting president of the United States in the most brazen and vulgar display of wrongful force, which is, again, already illegal under existing antitrust laws that we have seen in our nation's history. There has not been another more momentous occasion in which corporations have more blatantly violated human rights. They are preventing you effectively from taking part in the public square at this time. They are guilty of breaching the U.S. Constitution. That is the truth. It is settled law. You can look into it yourself. A federal court already decided that the POTUS account that Trump is now not able to use, and the real Donald Trump account on Twitter that he's gotten banned off of, that is now suspended permanently, they were deemed the public square. He couldn't even ban people from them. Certainly not U.S. citizens. I don't know if it applied to foreigners. The whole idea is that the internet in its modern incarnation is the public square, especially when you've got draconian lockdowns violating the right to assembly at any given time anyway. There's no other way for people to communicate. I'm thinking that the two things are linked. By the way, I fully believe that the purging that we're seeing right now, not just of Trump, but of various political figures. Dave Cullen just fell, Lynn Wood's been kicked off Twitter, Ben Garrison's gone, they're going after Parler. This was all planned for after January 20th anyway. The Capitol riot just gave them a convenient excuse to bump up the date. I don't know whether they consider it to be convenient or inconvenient that they had to switch when they were going to do it. But don't think that what they're doing now is even prefaced on the Capitol riot. That's just their excuse. They've been purging people now for years. They've been suppressing Trump now for months and months. They've been suppressing people like me now since roughly November 5th. Shortly after the election, YouTube especially altered its algorithms to explicitly prevent people with independent voices from being heard by as many people as possible. It is a prelude to eventually banning all of those people. When I see the left, therefore, cackling with glee about Donald Trump, haha, Orange Man's been silenced, yay, you're next. Trust me, you're next. You're going to be silenced by these people one way or another. You know why? Because you compete with their corporate partners, you idiot. They are the coup. They are the fascists that you worry about. The Nazis that you keep saying you want to bash. The Nazis that you must stop because, oh my God, they're going to take over and churches will burn. It's the billionaires, dude. Normally you understand that, except in the last 3 days. It's amazing. How easily fooled by propaganda these people were in some cases. Or how afraid they are, how cowardly. They're not speaking out. I wonder why. I wonder fucking why they wouldn't want to give up their lucrative careers. They're, I think, doubly afraid. They're even more unwilling to speak out because none of them has an alt-tech presence. They know that they're completely at the mercy of the same billionaires. They don't want to bite the hand that feeds them. Good little bootlickers and lemmings. That's about all. Peace out.